Welcome to UA IRA 101. This podcast will introduce to you basic TOAD queries that can be used to investigate general enrollment at the University of Alaska. By the end of this podcast, you should have a basic understanding of the UAR Chapter 1 headcount table and be able to generate headcounts for students at 3 reporting levels using TOAD. Before we get started in TOAD, it is necessary to understand the overall structure of the University of Alaska. Therefore, if you are not familiar with this, please view the Reporting Levels podcast before proceeding with this podcast. To illustrate the concepts introduced in this podcast, I will use several tables from Chapter 1 in UA in Review 2012. Now let us move into TOAD. You may want to pause the podcast here while you log in. Once you have logged in, direct your attention to the Navigation Manager, the pane located on the left. Navigate to the DSD MGR schema by clicking on the arrow in the first drop-down box in the Object Explorer. Once you click on that arrow, you can start typing the letters for the schema you want, in this case DSD MGR, and pressing Enter or Tab. Now you will see all the tables in the DSD MGR schema listed here. Navigate to the UAR Chapter 1 headcount table. Exploring this table, we see several fields listed here. This table reports unduplicated enrollment for each student by U8 division, AO, MAU, or UA system, for each fall term since fall 2007. This data can be used to replicate the UA in Review tables listed here. You may wish to pause the podcast here and take a few moments to read the column comments to familiarize yourself with the information provided by each field. Now let's do a basic query to replicate Table 101A. Drag the table into here and resize so all the fields are shown. We're going to select Term, UA Division, and Student PITM. We're going to aggregate the data by counting distinct student PITM, remembering to group by the term and the UA division, and sort in ascending order. Now we're ready to execute the query. Looking at a pivot table of the results, we can easily verify that the headcounts generated by this query match those reported in Table 101A. We can do that by dragging our fields where we want them. Counts go here, the term across the top, and the UA division down the rows. Rows 1 through 42 reports unduplicated headcount at the AO level. Rows 51 through 53 reports unduplicated headcount at the MAU level, and row 60 is unduplicated headcount for the UA system. Please disregard the grand totals here because they are simply column and row sums automatically produced by TOAD and do not provide accurate or useful information related to this query. So just taking a quick look, we have for Anchorage in fall 2011, 16,205 students, which matches that reported in UAR. And for the system, we have 34,983 in fall 2011, which again matches that reported here. Now, with a few quick adjustments to this query, we can replicate Table 104. Using TOAD, this table is replicated by combining the results from several queries, each of which are related to each demographic attribute: gender, ethnicity, or race. In demonstration, Let's add UAR race to the query. Return to the query diagram and select UAR race. Drag it in front of student PITM. Remember to group by it and sort in ascending order. And let's also restrict the data to fall 2011 by selecting where term code is equal to 2011-03. Now we're ready to execute the query. Looking at the pivot table of the results, we can again easily verify that head counts generated here match those reported in UAR. We can drag UAR race to here, and we see in fall 2011 there are 1,941 Alaska Native or American Indian reported at Anchorage, which matches that reported for the system. For in UAR. For the system, we have 431 Hawaiian Pacific, which matches that in UAR. Now let us consider Table 109. Return to the query diagram and remove the race. Then we add the class standing, dragging it in front of student PITM, remembering to group by it and sort it in ascending order. We're going to remove the term restriction, and we're going to add a restriction on UA division, selecting only MAU and system level data by selecting N and checking the four boxes for 51, 52, 53, and 60, selecting OK. And now we're ready to execute the SQL. Again, looking at it in a pivot table, we can drag class standing here and verify that the results match. 1830 for fall 2007, first-time freshman at UA Anchorage, matches here. And 2942, first-time freshman across the UA system in fall 2007. Which again matches here. For a final demonstration, let's generate head counts for UA scholars as reported in Table 129. Returning to the query diagram, we want to remove the restriction on the UA division. Again, restrict to fall 2011. We're going to use the scholars flag to identify UA scholars, and we want to select where scholars flag is in and check Y new paid and Y other. Y new paid identifies UA scholars who received their first award in a given term. Y other identifies UA scholars whose award in a given term was not their first award. We want to make this flag invisible by deselecting this checkbox. And by doing this, we do not need to group or sort by this field. Instead, this field is simply used to impose a restriction on the data. Now we are ready to execute the query. As you can see from the pivot table, the results match those reported in Table 129. Here we can shift class standing over to the columns. And we have 177 first-time freshmen reported at Anchorage, which matches that, reported in Table 129. And we have 433 first-time freshmen across the UA system who are UA scholars, which match that reported in Table 129. This concludes our introduction to generating unduplicated head counts in Toad.